It's time for the Yamaha Supercross review for the Wii. I had read a handful of complaints with this game long before the Magical Chicken chose for me to review it. Now pair that negativity with my experience with Kawasaki snowmobiles, and you could probably tell I wasn't looking forward to this game in particular, but let's see how it turned out. If you're familiar with my reviews, you'll know I usually like to start with the story of the game. Winning this race isn't just about being first to the finish line. Yamaha Supercross combines motorcycle racing with a graphic novel-style storyline to send extreme action even closer to the edge. You're the younger brother of one of the biggest stars on the Supercross circuit. When a dirty rider puts him in the hospital, the race for revenge is on. Compete on 12 photorealistic tracks with changeable weather conditions. Win races to unlock new tracks, upgrade your bike, and work your way... What? This game? I don't think so. What's the point of making a story if you're just going to put it on the cover? And granted, this is a Gamefly cover, but I'm sure it's on the regular box. And speaking of game boxes, you know how sometimes they'll put on the back the little synopsis of the story, just a tiny blurb to get you more interested in the game? And then when you finally do play the game, you see the story unravel for yourself. Well, in this, they put the whole story right here. And that's not a bad thing, it's not really spoiling anything, but there's nothing in the game that explains the story at all. Nothing whatsoever. It's like, what's the point? At first I thought I was given the wrong game by Gamefly, but this is it. I guess you just have to use your imagination to picture the story. Now this doesn't really affect the gameplay, but it's just odd. When you start the game, you can choose different modes to play, such as Tournament, Arcade, Practice, and Challenge. Tournament has you race against 9 other racers over 6 different tracks. Arcade lets you race against a friend. Practice lets you, practice, and Challenge puts you on a track with high jumps to perform tricks off of. When you choose Tournament, the only difficulty option you get is Beginner. You get to customize your character's look and number if you want. Now we're in the race. Something doesn't seem right. What could it be? Oh yeah! The game claims to have photorealistic graphics. Are you kidding me? How could you make that claim, especially when you put your game on the Wii? At best, it looks like a good PS1 game. It's so bland and dull looking. Even the crowd isn't impressed with the visuals, and where are the camera flashes coming from? Well, the game looks crappy, but how does it control? Well, honestly, it's not bad. Remember Kawasaki snowmobiles? That game was almost impossible to control. This game, however, controls way better. You'll use the Wiimote nunchuck combo, A to accelerate, B to brake, and both of those with the control stick to turn sharply. Sometimes it felt like you would turn too sharply, even without the help of the A-B tight turn control, and going off jumps would sometimes land you in the out-of-bounds area if you didn't go off the jump at a straight angle, but I felt you could get the feel of the controls without too much grinding. When racing over jumps and bumps in the road, if you hold down the down button on the D-pad, you won't go flying into the air. Now here's the issue with it though. There's no tutorial at all in the game. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. So when I started playing, I had to figure out the controls for myself, which for the most part isn't difficult, but I couldn't figure out how to stop flying off jumps. When you go off of a jump, your bike will start to tilt forward. This is a problem because some parts of the tracks are designed so that if you fly off of a jump, you'll land on the ascending side of a new ramp, which when your bike is tilted forward, you'll crash. And so this kept happening to me, and I couldn't figure out how to stop it. I tried pressing everything while I was in the air, but it took me a bit to figure out that you have to press and hold down on the D-pad before you go off of a jump. I could have avoided the frustration if there was just a simple tutorial in the game, or I probably should have just looked up the controls online, but my point is you shouldn't have to do that. There should be a tutorial. Before I played tournament mode, I started practice mode instead, thinking there would be a tutorial, but there isn't. It's just practicing on tracks. So before I figured out how to not crash after every other jump, the game is too difficult to beat, even on the lowest difficulty setting. But then after I figured out what to do, the game is too easy. Even if you crash a few times, there's still a high chance you'll get first place in every race. Even when I played on higher difficulty, it was still too easy. The weather conditions add a nice touch to the gameplay, but it would have been nice to have some kind of variety in the visuals for the tracks. I know, these are arena tracks, but it's so dull looking. The music is totally forgettable, as it sounds like generic stock rock music, and the bike sound effects don't really sound like motorbikes. Multiplayer isn't that fun, as you're just racing against your friends. It'd be better if there was at least an option to have the AI racers in multiplayer. Challenge mode, like I said earlier, has you completing tricks and stunts within a time limit. I again had to go to the internet to look up how to perform tricks. Completing tricks will give you points, which you can use to upgrade your bike's stats. It's a cool feature, but I didn't pursue it as the game is just not that fun. Yamaha Supercross isn't a terrible game, but it's definitely not a good one. While it was way better than Kawasaki snowmobiles, with pretty good controls and a cool trick upgrade system, you can't overlook the bad, dull-looking graphics, bland presentation, no tutorial, too easy gameplay, and the uninteresting multiplayer mode. And what happened to the story? There are so many better racers out there. Unless you're a Supercross fanatic, and even then, I advise against playing Yamaha Supercross. This game gets a 2 out of 5 with a title of bad.